Ready to rock.
Okay, ready, Michelle?
I'm ready. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone.
Good evening. This meeting is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings adopted at the organizational meeting held January 4th, 2023. Adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Kenilworth Board of Education has been provided to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, the local source, on January 12th, 2023. A copy has been filed with the Kenilworth Borough Clerk, posted in the board office, the Kenilworth Borough Hall, Brearley and Harding Schools, as is provided by the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you, Mr. Ganella. Please rise and join us in the salute to the flag. Mr. Ganella, can we please have roll call?
Biner? Here. David? Here. Drogan?
Here.
Farrar?
Here.
Haberther? Here. Ladati?
Here.
Panici?
Here.
Tiers?
Here.
Zimmerman?
Here.
All present.
Okay, thank you. We will now have receiving of the minutes from March 6th and March 13th. May I please have a motion to accept the minutes from March 6th and 13th, 2023?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, a motion made by Mr. Haberther, seconded by Mr. Biner. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carried. Mr. Ganella, do we have any public correspondence?
Yeah, we have one piece of correspondence I sent to you last week. The Kenilworth Fire Department Carnival Planning Meeting notes that were prepared by myself, and that's public correspondence for the week.
Okay, thank you. May I please have a motion to accept the monthly correspondence, please? Motion. May I have a second? Okay. Motion made by Mrs. Tiers, seconded by Mrs. Drogan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion's carried. Thank you. We will now have our presentations and report from Mr. Arlington, Superintendent.
Thanks. It's nice to have so many people here tonight. It helps create a nice energy in this space. I'd like to start by welcoming our student representative, Senior Kaylee Payne, to give her monthly report.
Hi guys. So marking period 4 just began today, which is very exciting for everyone, most especially us seniors. Spring break will begin this week, which is very exciting. The middle school spring dance is Friday, April 21st. And the following week, the spring musical Mean Girls will debut on the 28th and 29th in our Brearley Theater. AP students are preparing for AP tests, which begins the first week of May. Mr. Rossetti and Mr. Weinstein will be running an SAT boot camp for any students looking to prepare for the upcoming June SAT, which will be held at Brearley. March Madness was a hit as per usual. It is always a favorite. Mr. Davies will be having grade level assemblies to discuss school changes. This includes bell schedule and construction updates. Are there any questions? I hope everyone has a very nice holiday, whatever you choose to do.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Great job, thank you. In the past few years, we've done a lot of innovative work in creating additional pathways for students, particularly at Brearley, where we've doubled down on our commitment to future-ready practices. Principal Davies is going to introduce a couple of presentations tonight that reflect the outcomes of those commitments.
Hi everybody, good evening. I'm excited today to talk to you about our esports program, both the curricular side of esports and the extracurricular side of esports, as well as our robotics program, which is ever growing. So we have a number of students here tonight to talk about their experiences and also show off their robotics team work, as you see here. So they're going to be towards the end. But first we have Mr. Springsteen, who's here with a few of his students from the esports program. So if we could if I could introduce Mr. Springsteen to talk about esports, the curricular side of things. Mr. Springsteen.
Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd first off like to say thank you to the board, Mr. Arlington, and Mr. Davies for allowing for an opportunity for students to explore avenues of education that were not available to them until recently. So esports as a class is really a combination of coding and design, as well as business management and brand identity and creation through the lens of gaming. So we try to take something students are interested in, and we apply that to these skills to give students more, to create more buy-in than you would otherwise see in some other traditional settings. So curricularly, we have students start off by designing their own maps from scratch in a game called Minecraft, and a component of that requires them to code and develop the logic in order for the maps to work correctly. These are examples right here of all the maps designed by students, or some of the maps designed by students. They start off on pen and paper, then designed to scale in grid-based formats, and from there, they apply it into the program and develop all the necessary systems to make it function. After that, we then move on to brand awareness and business management in the video game industry, where they learn they learn about brand awareness, and they develop their own esports teams with merchandise and advertisements. That is, I believe, on the next slide. One more. Oh, and we have a few students with us today, Shane Lee Chiang and Aaron Lonergan, who actually designed some maps, and we have walkthroughs of the maps that they designed. And if they'd like, they can also come on up, speak to their design philosophy, how they enjoy it, if they enjoy the class, and what they think. Thank you. I think you're Max first.
Come on up, yes.
Okay, go up.
This is Aaron Lonergan.
Is it gonna?
Oh, you need permission to view the video. Must access.
Okay.
See the mouse.
What are you saying? Your request was approved.
Might have to like refresh.
Mr. Arlington, if you can go back to the slideshow, I will fast forward in the presentation, get to the other parts, and go back so Erin can show off her work.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
You don't have permission.
So I'm going to fast forward. So in addition to the curriculum side of things, we have the extracurricular side of esports. That's the after-school component, which is our esports team, which took off in January. And if the team meets on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. They have 2 coaches. We have about 30 students on the team. You can see up there we have them playing Rocket League, SSBU, and Valorant or Overwatch 2. So those are the different games that they're playing. And they really do take on a team mentality, much like a soccer team or a softball team. There's a whole team dynamic with coaching and strategy, watching, reviewing plays. It's really fascinating to watch. I was not a believer until I saw it in action. But the folks on the team are really engaging, just like you would an athletic team. The schools that we play against are listed there on the screen. So we're playing schools from all across the state, specifically to Union County. We have a number of fellow Union County teams that we are playing against. And there's a picture of some of the team members in our esports arena. Our season in the winter, so our winter season ended just when winter athletics ended. So we had winning seasons in all of the different games that we play, 4-3, 4-2, and 4-3, and all 3 teams made it to the first round of the state tournament. So for a program that just began in January, to have that record, we were really impressed, and our students were really engaged by that and really stoked for that. Currently, we're in the spring season. We're not doing so great in Rocket League, but the other 2 games we're holding our own. So that's what's happening right now, and that season ends on April 27th. Again, these are students who aren't maybe engaging with athletics, but they're engaging now with the school in a different way, and they're here for 2 hours, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. It's great to see them really interact. There's just some pictures of the students in the esports arena playing the games after school hours. They get really loud. They get really into it. It's wonderful to see.
see that the videos are able to be accessed now.
Okay,
Wanna go back?
perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry for the delay. We're gonna go backwards, go back to Aaron's video. One more. All right.
Awesome.
So Aaron's gonna talk through this.
Okay. So this is our spawn room, and then you spawn in, and then you're spawn with like a wooden sword, and then you have to cross like this lava, and then you can fight the other team. And then there's 3 doors, and then 2 of the rooms are like deadly, like there's stuff at the bottom with the trap door, and you have to find which room is the right one that will lead you to the flag. But if you go into the wrong room, you'll respawn and you have to do the whole obstacle course over again. And then here is the right room, and you get a cart and it'll lead you on a roller coaster to the flag.
And so Aaron, you designed all of this, correct?
Yeah, me and my friend Ellie, we designed this.
That's great.
Thank you, Aaron.
Very impressive.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Springsteen, if I hit the next arrow, this should be Shane's?
That's AJ's.
AJ's. Okay, we're gonna skip over AJ's. Shane, is this yours? Yep. Okay, perfect.
So this is a spawn room where you spawn in and choose the teams you want to be on. If you go through one of the doors, you can press a button to choose which team you want to be on. Right here is the main map. It has several different hallways with different items and equipment you can get. Each hallway leads down to both teams' spawns and flags. Right there is a little area with some overpowered stuff which team can use.
Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
I think it's just so neat, all the strategy that goes into this, and thinking through how someone would play this game and trying to get them to follow a certain pathway or to deviate from a different pathway. It's really exciting stuff. Mr. Springsteen, did you want to end?
Oh, yes. Thank you. In addition to what you saw, there was also a great deal of coding and programming that went into the backgrounds, making sure that characters enter in the right area, that the right items come out at the right times, and that way, and also that flags are created and can be dropped off in the correct locations and scoring systems keep track. So, as mentioned before, we learned about branding. They make their own teams and they make their own merchandise. And then we finish off with an in-class event that they organize themselves, they develop the rules for, and then they execute themselves. And we actually have a small video showing the students using the maps they designed with the teams they created in the competition that they set up.
So these are the students playing the games that other students have designed.
Correct, yes. We have one more as well.
This one more last video.
Mhm.
Similar.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So just to recap, we're so appreciative of the board's support and Mr. Arlington's support regarding esports program. To see the engagement of students in the classroom, which you can't really capture in a video such as that, but to see the kids creating their own games and have other students play those students' games is really fascinating. And to think about all the careers that exist on the back end of this, of students now saying, I want to go and study this in college, or I want to go pursue this field. It's really great to see, so thank you for the support. Are there questions for the students, Mr. Springsteen, myself, regarding esports before we get over to robotics?
Not so much a question, but a statement I just wanted to say. I'm glad you mentioned college. When we agreed as a board to have this program become part of the curriculum, I thought, okay, great, a cool little extra curricular, type of class for the kids. I attended a conference back in December, and one of the speakers did a whole section on esports, and the numbers that were involved in terms of scholarships for colleges and colleges recruiting students and things of that nature just totally blew my mind. And seeing what can be done and seeing what our students have done with it in such a short time is really interesting. And I hope the program continues to grow and we get more students involved in it. But it just totally amazed me how big this really is.
It is.
It gives a whole new twist to mom and dad with the old, get away from the video game. Now we gotta look at it a little different now.
Yeah, and I think it's important that a school has their hand in that, because if it's just playing video games on your own in your home, well, I don't know how much of a future that exists, but if it's done through curriculum and
Right.
through an instructor such as Mr. Springsteen, and if it's done with that learning in mind, then I'm all for it, sure. Thank
Does
you.
are the competitions organized by the state in a way that football games and baseball games and all that organized by the state? Are there state rankings, things like that?
Esports is not recognized by the NJSIAA, but there is a league called Garden State Esports, and they do rank. There's a playoff system. It's the same as like the football playoffs.
Is that the ultimate path that they're looking for, is to get it sanctioned by the NJSIAA?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question. I'm not sure about that. It's a great question.
Thank you.
Don't know. Sure.
Your work is really innovative and really impressive, so well done.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Thank
really
you.
cool.
And thanks for coming to share it with us too.
So I'm going to move on to the robotics team and club. I'm going to introduce Nan Shah. Nan Shah is the founder of robotics here at Brearley, and he is the president of the robotics team. And I'm going to pass this over to you for a quick little presentation. You know to work those, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You can also introduce your team.
sure. So I am founder and president of the Robotics Club. This is Dennis Shostak. He handles most of our electrical work. Andrew does 3D modeling. My brother helps me out in driving. Evan right here is part of our media department, and so is Sophia. And my supporting parents are here as well. So the robotics club is starting to pick up speed, especially as we walk into our third year. And this is our first time we've attended FTC. So FTC stands for First Tech Competition. That is where our robot is from. We compete in a kind of seasonal event, and it's a competition. It changes every September. And so one year it was throwing disc at a target. This year it's putting cones on something called a junction. I'll get further into that. And here are fundraising financials. FTC is a extremely expensive endeavor. It requires a lot of robot parts, and not just as much as the robot parts, but expenses that come up during the event, such as foods and busing. So we've tried a lot to fundraise on our own. We've tried to hold fundraisers as frequently as possible. And our goals for next year are to get more members, get this team out into the open, and also do better in our FTC events. We placed around 17th place, and we're trying to climb further and further up the ranks. One of our main goals is trying to make it to the state competition. We entered sort of late this year, but we're hoping to do more intensive design and development for our next following year. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Nan is going to demonstrate with his teammates just how the robot works, if you can see or want to stand up.
Still one step better than it being outside.
It's better than being in the hallway, yeah.
So the way our robot works is that there's a primary and secondary driver. I'm the primary driver. I get to control how the robot moves. And it has an interesting ability called straightening, which is we can move side to side. My brother here is controlling the secondary side, which is the arm, the wrist, and the claw. So we have to work is just keep stacking the cones. And we have about a 3-minute time. So the first part is anonymous, which we haven't shown yet. The second part is what we're doing now. It's called teleop, and the final part is called endgame. That's where all the point values they switch, and it's just a whole different game. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
It's wonderful to see competitions because there's 2 robots in a robot field both doing this at the same time, right? With the 3-minute time.
There's 4 robots.
4 robots, excuse me.
Split into alliances, 2 robots with 2 robots, and your goal is to try to get as many points as possible.
And so you see these schools competing against each other. It's very competitive. It's really fascinating to watch. And our team is doing a great job. And as again, Nand here started the club a few years ago, and we are already at a point now where we're competing at FTC challenges. What high school was that? Bayonne?
Yes.
The Bayonne High School. And it's great to see Brearley represented there by these fine young students, and they're really engaged by this robot. So this is all happening also in Mr. Springsteen's room, the STEM lab. So again, all of this, thank you for the support. These are not inexpensive endeavors, but when they pay off, you can see the great work that our students are doing. It's really wonderful to see. So congratulations, guys. Nicely done.
Just wondering how you guys are using the new space and like how that informs your projects and your work.
Sure.
And where were you doing this before? That's like in the hallway? Home. I'm home, in your garage, got it.
Largely at home, and also we have a mentor, and he has a large space with lots of machinery, so we would go there and work on robots. But now with the addition of the STEM lab, we have a full-scale field that we can use in practice, as well as 3D printers that we can use to manufacture some parts. Towards the end of the season, we were experimenting with a different claw design,
Okay.
that was fully 3D printed.
Thank you.
Great.
What's the robot's name?
We named it Billy.
Billy.
Great question.
Anyone have any additional questions for Nand?
Is there I'm sorry. Is there anything that you need to elevate your help your team with?
I think definitely a big thing is replacement parts. A lot of these parts are aging, and as you get into more competitive competitions, you run the risk of something breaking. We had our mentor, his team had made it to the Worlds, and their wheel fell off. They didn't have any replacements, so they couldn't compete. So that's a big thing that we're looking to have the replacement parts as just an insurance policy.
You said that you had a 3D printer.
Yes.
Are you able to print any new parts with that, or is like certain things that you can't, right?
Yeah, there's certain things that you can. Some things like the wheels, of course, and axles, you would need metal, otherwise it would break off. But things like claws and holding, things to hold the switches and things like that, you can pre-print.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do they allow sponsorships,
Yes, they do.
like NASCAR? Or
Yeah.
put on the side?
There's
Okay.
a lot of teams are sponsored by Johnson.
Johnson & Johnson?
Nand and the team are actively
Where's the other
looking
sponsor?
for sponsorship right now, I believe, right?
Bring that up.
Just,
I'm gonna do that with Vito.
I don't have any clout in
What
that
does that mean?
department.
Vito.
we received our donation.
Donation, sorry, I thought you said ovation. First donation?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Jeremy, would you like a picture with your students?
Yeah, absolutely, that'd be great, yeah. Robotics and esports
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
with the robot? With Billy?
Billy, I love that. Well, Billy's part of the team, you gotta have him in.
Billy is the team, right?
Billy stands for something. Bionic integrated.
Kyle, I appreciate them bringing him in, Kyle. To see what we did. No, I guess during the budget, we were doing our budget.
I know we do for sports, I didn't know that the track team, softball, baseball made a bunch of money, where people could just donate and share the link. The track team made 10,000, girls softball, so that could be something that they could do. And just share it and send it out. The donations.
Thank you, everyone, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes. Davies, do you mind getting Mr. Miller and his presumed team?
Yeah.
Great. Probably just disassemble.
Serious subject.
Aaron Shane, you're more than welcome to stay.
Yeah, you
We
guys can-
understand that you probably want
Or
to
you can go.
You guys can go if you wanna.
Fly, be
You guys
free.
can all, yeah, you guys can all
Take care,
exit
guys.
if you want, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Springsteen.
Thank you. You can,
Hi, thank you.
thank you.
You can fly and be
Yeah,
free
you can
too.
get out of here too.
Take care.
I should have said your name too.
You staying? Okay, good for you.
They can leave.
I sent the proposal. Great.
Behind the scenes, democracy. Break the seal.
Walk around the hallway and just drop things off. Right? You deliver it.
I remember these were open.
Next up, winter track.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking so. I know that we just had a track.
Even we can deliver it, just a robot too. Drop things off in the mailbox, right?
You just hijacked the chairs. You heard them.
Okay, last month we had the exciting opportunity to celebrate our Group 1 state champion cheerleading team. And so we thought we'd keep the streak of athletic celebrations going tonight by briefly highlighting two standout athletes who are this year's Winter Track Group 1 High Jump Relay State Champions. Mr. Miller will help to share more.
Thank you, Mr. Arlington. Yeah, it's exciting to be here and recognize our student athletes. We've have had a tremendous year so far athletically. In the fall, we've done some really nice things with football and boys soccer. Our cheerleading team, both our boys and girls basketball teams this past year advanced in the state tournament, which hasn't happened in a very long time. A very exciting time for them. And winter track, underneath Coach Pederisi's tutelage, our track program has grown tremendously. And when I do my budget presentation, you see the increase in the dollar amounts that I asked for in track. It's a reason, is Coach Pederisi's hard work in terms of getting a lot of our students out for the track team and also seeing them compete at a high level. And it was exciting this winter to have two young men do an outstanding job in the Group 1 level and win a state championship in the high jump as a relay team. So both together, they worked in conjunction to accomplish that feat. Coach Pederisi, without further ado.
So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Coach Pederisi, head coach for the winter track and spring track teams, both boys and girls. And just to kind of reflect off what Mr. Miller said, it's been probably, the best season we've had on the boys' side indoors since 1992, which is, if you do the math, 31 years ago, since when they won the state section. And, through Terrence and Anthony kind of leading the way, we took third overall in the state section this past season. Like I said, just hasn't been done in quite some time. I just wanted to read a little something. Our boys and girls winter track teams did extremely well this indoor season, continuing to raise the bar once again. Our boys teams delivered great performances in some of the biggest meets of the season. Terrence Hilton Jr. and Anthony Flowers have been a big part of this, specifically in the high jump. So if you guys don't know kind of how Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 work, we're a very small school, and there's 4 sections for each group in the state. So for all 4 groups combined, we took first overall. So that's roughly against 80 schools in the entire state. So out of all of the small schools in the entire state, they both took first in the high jump relay. So it's just a very big accomplishment. They also took third in the Union County Championships for the relays. And like I said, with their efforts, took third overall in the section. Anthony Flowers won the section in the high jump. And Terrence took third along with, helping out in the hurdles. And he advanced all the way in the state group meet and took 5th overall, which, again, hasn't been done since
I believe to be 1992. I shared a couple videos from this meet and a couple pictures just showing how we got first. So that's Terrence Silton's Jr.'s winning jump. And then I believe this is Anthony Flowers coming up. Both were 5'8".
We were gonna bring in the pads and the bar.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, come on up. Congratulations. Okay, we gotta get some pictures with Cam. You wanna come on up? We'll get some pictures. Get in there. You guys will send pictures on me.
I'm gonna bring it, next meeting.
We got the serious face in front. There's a smile, there's a smile.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll bring in the teachers.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's like trick or treat over there at least. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat.
Please, John. Thank you.
Revolving door tonight.
Come on, sit down front. We don't bite. Never on a Monday.
That entire group was taller, like twice me.
All right. As part of my continuing education, one of my research interests revolves around teachers' visions, teachers' ideal images of classroom practice. Research suggests that teachers who have strong visions are more likely to stay in the profession and meet each day with a sort of determinism and a focus that foregrounds ways they may remain connected to both the professional and personal life force while simultaneously meeting their students' needs. At any given time, teachers are either moving toward their vision, inching back from it, or are stuck in the space between where they are and who they want to be in the classroom. Teachers' visions, as they've been theorized, are something we don't achieve, but rather continually strive toward as we constantly look to narrow the gap between our current reality and the ideal images we yearn to enact as teachers. In our recognition of this year's educators and educational service professionals of the year, you'll learn more about the visions these teachers and counselors craft and the impact they have on our school community. I think you'll be easily able to see that their visions don't exist independently of the students they serve, Rather, they take into account the young people with whom they work daily, not just as their teachers or counselors, but as mentors who inspire. So, congratulations to this year's cadre of recipients. We're going to start our brief recognition ceremony with Mr. Blednowski.
Good evening, everyone. The following was submitted by a current 4th grade parent. Mrs. Stark is the gold standard of teaching. My daughter was lucky enough to have Mrs. Stark in 1st grade. The year was magical. She fell in love with learning, all thanks to Mrs. Stark. Mrs. Stark made learning fun and exciting, but also had impeccable classroom management. She fostered kindness in the classroom while really encouraging students to try their absolute best. Then COVID hit. The schools were shut down, and as parents, we feared the worst. We started remote learning, which was unheard of at the time. I myself am a 1st grade teacher, and I know that this task that was asked upon teachers was impossible. But Mrs. Stark rocked it. She made it look as though she has been doing remote learning for ages. The students truly continued to learn and flourish as the pandemic wasn't even happening. I would watch her remote lessons in complete awe and amazement. To this day, we thank our lucky stars that we had Mrs. Stark that year. My daughter has been lucky to have so many amazing teachers, but we will forever refer to Mrs. Stark as the super teacher that changed her life in the best ways possible. She will forever be Educator of the Year in our eyes and hearts. I am pleased to present Mrs. Kelly Stark as Harding School Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Stark has been a teacher for the past 12 years at Harding School. Mrs. Stark's students grow in her care each year. They leave her classroom with the love of learning and, most importantly, the tools that they need for 2nd grade. Teacher of the Year is an honor in which Mrs. Stark is most worthy of. Her tireless work ethic, coupled with her ever-present enthusiasm and positivity, are the perfect combination for a 1st grade teacher. Mrs. Stark is a true asset to our school, and I am so fortunate to have her on our staff. Congratulations, Ms. Kelly Stark, Harding School Teacher of the Year.
To speak, but thank you very much for the honor. I love what I do, day in and day out, even when it's really tough. The kids are everything.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Mr. Miller is going to help speak on behalf of Nurse Patino.
Thank you. 2020 obviously was a rough year for everybody, but we were very fortunate in one sense. That's when we hired Meg as a 3rd nurse here in our school district. Meg has been a breath of fresh air. She has done a tremendous job of transitioning the elementary school kids up to the middle school with medical histories, and helping Nurse Kondo here at the high school understand what some of our kids go through in terms of medications, or if there's any allergies, things of that nature. Meg has been a tremendous help with all of the administrative aspects of nursing. She has helped us get our elementary students into our system where it's anyone in the district can view it. Meg is a great person. She's kind, she is caring, she's considerate. She works well with the parents. She works well with the students on all grade levels. She spends time between both buildings, and to see how she interacts with kids of different grade levels, it's amazing that she has that in her bag of talents. great collaboration with the current nurses we have and also with our athletic trainer, Ryan. We were very lucky to have Meg apply for this job and very lucky for us to continue to have you as a full-time nurse. Thank you, Meg. Megan Bettina.
It's a factory now, yes. We'll get pictures at the end.
Thank you. This is my third year at Kenilworth, third year as a school nurse, and I absolutely love it. The kids are great, and the team that I'm working with is awesome. So thank you so much. It's been fun.
Hi again, everybody. I'm honored today to present David Brearley's Teachers of the Year and Educational Services Professional of the Year, starting with the David Brearley Middle School. This year's recipient of the Middle School Teacher of the Year recognition is Miss Michelle Alvarez. Miss Alvarez has spent 18 years teaching math, and all 18 of them have been at David Brearley Middle School. She is a bear through and through. Michelle is someone who makes the learning process enjoyable while also pushing her students to work hard and stretch themselves. She has very high standards while simultaneously being empathetic, kind, and passionate. She can be found providing extra math help to her students before school, during middle school lunch, or after school. Her classroom always has students buzzing about at all hours, and her lessons always have a positive energy to them. One thing I love about Michelle is how she teaches with a sense of urgency that is contagious. One of the students who nominated her for this recognition says of Miss Alvarez, quote, "She makes me actually like going to school because, boom, right there in the morning, she is my first teacher and a great way to start off my day." What a great testament to the energy and urgency of this educator, Miss Alvarez. Recently, feedback to Miss Alvarez included the following statement. Miss Alvarez planned a thoughtfully designed lesson that promoted student engagement through the use of Desmos and exploring slope. She was positive and upbeat. She provided strong feedback to students when they responded verbally or in writing to the writing prompts. Ms. Alvarez is doing math and ELA in her classroom because she has them writing in response to their math concepts. She has reached the status of master teacher. Congratulations, Michelle, on this well-deserved recognition as David Brearley Middle School's Teacher of the Year. Ms. Alvarez. At the high school level, this year's recipient of the High School Teacher of the Year recognition is also a math teacher. Congratulations to Mr. Ben DeVito. Like Ms. Alvarez, Mr. DeVito has the keen ability to take complex mathematical concepts and break them down into manageable components. A student who nominated Mr. DeVito says, quote, "He makes his students feel comfortable to learn. During lessons, he takes the time to stop and ask the class if they understand, no matter how difficult or easy it may be. He doesn't make anyone feel shameful or embarrassed for having a question about the topic he is teaching, and he goes out of his way to develop methods that cater to the way a student wants to learn. His polite attitude also helps create a safe atmosphere for people to learn, and he is always providing opportunities for people to make the most out of their education." It's from a student. Well said. Ben is known for his humor, his ability to explain, and his unending patience. Ben is fully invested in all things David Brearley. In addition to teaching math, Ben is one of our baseball coaches. He decided to wear his baseball uniform tonight just for this occasion. And he is an alum of Brearley, making him truly a bear for life. Ben has been in the field of education for 8 years, and like Ms. Alvarez, has spent all of those years here at David Brearley. Congratulations, Mr. Ben DeVito, David Brearley High School's Teacher of the Year. And this year's recipient of the Educational Services Professional of the Year Award at Brearley is Miss Megan Harrison, our middle school school counselor. Some of you may know her as the daughter of a retired Harding teacher, Mr. Palercio, who coincidentally enough earned the distinction of Teacher of the Year exactly 20 years ago, probably at a similar meeting to this one. Some good genes there, right? But she is not just an Educator of the Year legacy. Ms. Harrison truly is described as a counseling prodigy. Students who nominated her said the following of Mrs. Harrison. Ms. Harrison makes me feel comfortable and heard whenever I need advice. Another student says of her nomination, whenever I need to talk to someone, she was always a safe space and I always feel welcomed by her. And a parent nominator says of this guidance counselor, she is super easy to communicate with and follows through with all concerns and requests. Her genuine care for her students is evident in her daily interactions with students. Ms. Harrison is that staff member to whom any student can turn. She's also the person who will give you honest feedback and advice. Ms. Harrison has spent 10 years dedicating herself to her students, 9 of those with us here at Brearley. She's a counselor, a confidant, a club advisor, and she is a teacher as well as a counselor, having co-taught our peer advisory course for several years. Ms. Harrison spearheads the every 15 minutes upperclassmen presentation and simultaneously runs 7th grade orientation. She facilitates Week of Respect initiatives, starts with hello initiatives, and random acts of kindness initiatives. Beyond the role of her job and the way she goes above and beyond those roles, Meg is creative. Meg also operates with a sense of urgency, and Meg has the gift of making the person in front of her feel like the most important individual in that moment. A wonderful attribute for a wonderful school counselor to have. Congratulations, Meg, David Brearley's Educational Services Professional of the Year.
You better move down because your dad's got the camera pointed that way.
Sorry. Wait.
No, pictures of
All the recipients?
Yeah. Why don't we
They
get
want the whole, all the teachers.
all the recipients to come up with their plaques, They're on
No floral arrangements?
no floral arrangements.
Yes.
Go ahead, go up. Vincent, hold on, you got someone, family.
Just hang on a second. Oh, how cute. Very nice. Good job.
He's so cute. When I said to him, he goes, that's you, to his mother. That's how Rocco is, right?
Yeah.
He asked me to somebody, he heard somebody say, I think I know. Mr. Pete, my teacher, he was great. Oh.
Very good, thank you guys.
Congratulations again.
Thank you so much. At this time, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome, but if you want to go, you can. We're going to take care of some board business. Thank you.
He wants to know what's in that bag.
Jeremy, thank you.
Bye, Mr. Davies. Thank you. Have a good break. Bye.
Yep, good night.
Congratulations.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
I'm trying to fit this onto one thing so I can read it, and then the writing gets too small. And I don't know, it's like a dilemma, a catch-22.
Yeah. I enjoy a large font myself.
I know.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
someone just showed me how to increase the font on Teams, and I was so excited, because I could actually see them writing.
I thank you.
No, I didn't. I knew how to do it on like everything else, but the Teams thing, it's in the corner.
An email.
There are no new cases of HIB to report for the month of March, so instead I'd like to share a few district-wide updates and reminders. The board's TAP committee stands ready to meet with teachers this spring. The KEA is looking for volunteers to serve the group. So far, they have a name or two. Upon returning from spring break, we'll start messaging out the details of a series of parent learning sessions we're currently organizing on tough topics. The series of sessions will be held over Zoom, and we hope that the series will help us carry out a strong end of year as we grapple with the tough topics we're facing in our school district's partnership with families. Presentations we have slated to be shared include cyberbullying and your child's online social media use, the lasting effects of one text, tweet, or post. In the upcoming weeks, we'll message out more details as part of advertising that campaign in widespread ways. Before that series launches, I hope you'll join me for a virtual coffee and conversations via Zoom on April 17th. A link for joining will be sent the day of, and I encourage the community to join to ask questions, share ideas, as ways we may potentially collaborate and strengthen our school district. In a few weeks, Mr. Ganella and I will meet with Assemblyman Atkins to discuss state aid figures and formulas, and we look forward to providing the board and community with the outcomes of that conversation. In referendum news, pre-construction work continues with planning, priority setting, bidding. We're working on a town-wide mailing right now to update the community on the referendum and also widely publicize our school year advancements and achievements. So ahead of that mailing, which we have scheduled for June, I encourage you to visit our referendum website for more information and updates. Competitive grants to support education are becoming increasingly sparse. I found the hardest part of the process is actually finding the grants. But I'm pleased to report 2 of our faculty members recently disrupted that belief. So congratulations are in order to our instructional coach, Dawn Horling, who found, wrote, and was awarded a Sustainable New Jersey grant to support our required teaching of New Jersey's climate standards. Also, thank you to school psychologist Eva Levine, who was awarded a Union County Kids Dig In grant sponsored by the Union County Board of Commissioners. The grant will fund a garden outside the Brearley Annex for instructive and aesthetic purposes. In closing here, spring has sprung. We'll officially close out the winter athletic season with a graphic lookbook of highlights in the next few weeks. Spring athletes have taken to our fields. Harding's Thespians are back on the stage after a COVID hiatus and are ready to start performing again. This year, they'll perform The Wizard of Oz on April 28th. Their teacher and a few featured actors will be in attendance at our May board meeting, so something to look forward to. There's so much good happening in our district. I hope the public continues to engage with us this spring and beyond. In closing, I wish our entire school community a healthy, happy spring break, and I look forward to our collective return on the 17th as we begin the unofficial end of the school year.
Thank you, Mr.
Here's my
Arlington.
report.
Anyone, any questions for Mr. Arlington before we move on to committees? No? Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to report of committees, review of resolutions, and board discussion. Up first is Mr. Ladati, Finance, Facilities, and Negotiations.
Okay, thank you. The tentative budget was submitted to the executive county superintendent, received notification that the budget was approved for advertising. The final budget will be approved at the April 26th public budget hearing. On April 21st, the Finance Committee of Mr. Biner, Mr. Haberther, Mr. David, and myself discussed via Zoom the Firemen's Carnival to be held on the district grounds. The committee directed Mr. Ganella to gather more information and assess the requests, provide recommendations to the full board, which you'll see is resolution number 6 on tonight's agenda. The referendum project continues. The HVAC package is currently out to bid, and potential vendors are conducting site visits at this time. The designs for the addition continue. We anticipate an update at the public hearing with some specific designs. That's on the 26th, Vince? Or
Yes.
On the 26th, right. More site investigations were conducted in an effort to develop a plan for remediation of the football field. The investigation is being conducted in accordance with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection standards. You may have noted, if you reviewed the bank statements and the financials, that in February, reports included 2 bank statements for each account. Previously indicated, that is because Investors Bank Group was acquired by Citizens Financial Group last year, and that transition took place in February. Had no impact on our financials at all. As to resolutions, 1 through 5 are our standard monthly set of resolutions. I reviewed the billing list and the financials. I found them all to be in order with no outliers. 6, we spoke about the carnival. Again, the Finance and Facilities Committee, we directed Mr. Ganella with several requests: insurance coverage, hold harmless agreements, indemnification, beer sales, security. The Finance Committee, and I'm satisfied with the responses we received, and I want to thank Mr. Ganella and the Fire Department leadership and Kyle for getting that all straightened out. And as you all know, the carnival, when we were kids, Mr. David could attest, was actually held in Brearley parking lot before they moved it to St. Teresa's. Once St. Teresa's lost their carnival, so it's almost like going back in time, right? Where it was initially. Number 7 is payment to the contractors. The bulk was paid to the architects, as you can see. 8 was transportation costs. 9 and 10 are the for climate and the school sustainability that Mr. Arlington spoke about tonight and in his report. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Ladati on finance and facilities? Okay, thank you, Mr. Ladati. We'll now move on to personnel management. Mr. Haberthorn.
Thank you. 7 resolutions tonight. Resolutions 11 and 12 formally recognize Kelly Stark, Megan Matino, Michelle Alvarez, Megan Harrison, and Benjamin DeVito as Harding, David Brearley Middle, and David Brearley High School Teachers of the Year. Congratulations again to all of them. Resolution 13 is the approval of AM lunchroom aides for the 22-23 school year. Resolution 14 is the approval of additional teaching sections for the 22-23 school year. Resolution 15 approves home instruction. 16 approves student teachers. And Resolution 17 approves substitute staff. Any questions?
Yep, can I just, one question? We had the, for Anthony Carfagno, or who,
Yeah,
there's a resume in there, was that for something, or that's out? or-
No recommendation.
Okay, because I didn't see anything about it, so, okay, thank you.
No questions? Okay, thank you. We'll now have curriculum instruction, Mrs. Tiers.
There's one resolution tonight, Resolution 18, and that is for the HIT report for February.
Questions for Mrs. Tiers? No? Okay, thank you. Any old business? We want to just remind parents and the board to please review the Friday folders for opportunities and supports available for students and families, and also updated school events. New business? Okay. Some new business items. We want to congratulate again our boys' winter track and field, our esports and robotics, and our educators and year-end educational service professionals. We also want to acknowledge Autism Acceptance Month and thank our CPAC parents and our leadership teams for what they do for the students, and wish everyone a restful break, as Mr. Arlington already recommended. So at this time, we'll move to opening the meeting to the public for comment. Is there a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Okay, second? Okay, motion made by Mr. Haberthor, seconded by Mrs. Drogan. All those in favor of opening the meeting to the public for comment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Okay, public comment will now be accepted. The Board of Education sets a limit for the public to speak at the board meeting to 5 minutes per person unless prior permission has been granted by the Board of Education for extended time pursuant to KBOE policy bylaw 0167. Please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Any public like to comment at this time? Okay, motion to close the
Wait,
meeting.
wait, I think you have somebody
Oh, okay.
moving to.
Carolina Pappas, 31 North 21st Street. As some of you might remember, I was advocating that the girls should, especially girls who play Little League Baseball should have an opportunity in public school to continue their baseball interest. And Mr. Arlington even suggested if it was just a club that the school sponsored, that would be a start. And I think that's a very, very good idea. Since I was advocating that for quite a while, it didn't seem like it was going anywhere, so I thought maybe it belongs, not to me, I don't have children, I never married, but maybe to the parents of those girls who played in Little League. Some parent might have an interest in, you know, pursuing that idea. So I gave it up, and I mentioned that I also feel that I'm being called back to play judo. I played judo for 16 years, and the last tournament I went to, everything went wrong, and I interpreted that as meaning, because I was 50 years old at the time, and in fact they had a list of, you know, the people playing. I was number one. I was the oldest competitor. There were a few in the 40s, but I was number 150, right? So I interpreted that as meaning it was time for me to stop playing judo. And I took yoga for about 10 years. Now, I turned 79 last month, and I've discovered that I made a mistake. A little more than 2 years ago, I met a personal trainer who has gotten me in the best shape I've ever been in, and I am going to pursue getting back on the judo mat. Now, I have a brown belt in judo, so it's not like I'm going to be a newbie to the process, but you know, it's going to take me a while to actually get into a gi and get out there and play. But I have been attending the judo school in Cranford, just as, you know, watching the classes and getting the feel for it. So anyway, I just felt like updating those of you who might be interested in where my process is right now and where I'm going. And
Thank you.
I can't wait to get back on the mat.
Good luck.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to comment at this time? Okay, motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mrs. Tears. All those in favor of closing the meeting to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, the motion carries. Meeting is now closed to the public for comment. Mr. Ganella, we prepared to vote on resolutions?
Yes, we have 18 resolutions on this evening's agenda. Do any of them need to be voted on separately for any reasons? No? Okay, then we will vote on all resolutions, all 18, at once. Mr. Biner?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Drogan?
Yes.
Farrar?
Yes.
Haberther?
Yes.
Wadati?
Yes.
Tears?
Yes.
Zimmerman?
Yes.
Panici?
Yes.
Motion carries, motions carry unanimously.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Ganella, do we need to go and close executive session?
Yes, just very briefly.
Okay.
Motion to go into closed session?
Second? Okay, motion made by Mr. David, seconded by Mrs. Drogan. All those in favor of going into closed executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ayes have it, motion carried. Mr. Ganella?
Yes,
Thanks for coming, guys.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education, the Board of Education meet in private session from which the public shall be excluded, to discuss the topics of matters involving safety and security of students, staff, and schools, which private discussion is being held pursuant to Section 7B and 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters under discussion will be disclosed to the public as soon as final decisions are made and voted upon. This concludes the public portion of our meeting. We will not be returning from closed session, and we will not be taking any future action this evening. So everyone have a good night and a happy holiday and enjoy their spring break.
Thank you. Vincent, do we want to check and make sure?
Yeah.
the cameras
And,
are
Bill, are we off?